Oh, this is going to be a Battlefield 6 video packed with new stuff. Because I already got to play all the new stuff from the new part of Season 4 in the previous session. Thanks to the EA Creator Network for that. The whole thing is of course completely under the banner of Top Gun. And we're looking at all the new stuff. And I had to write everything down because there's just so much coming up. First of all, of course, Wake Island. We're going to take a look at that right away. Then the time-limited events that we have, all a little Top Gun related. Carrier Strike, of course, everybody's waiting for that. There's a new gauntlet mode called Fighter Sweep, the 2 new jets, and then weaponry. We'll take a look at that, of course, because there are finally some new weapons for the jets, or rather, for one of them. But more on that later. Furthermore, there's another new weapon, a new sniper rifle, and so on and so forth. We're going to take a look at all of that in this video. We're starting, of course, with the reworked version of Wake Island, which is coming into the game now, or tomorrow, for you. It is very strongly inspired by the version that was in Battlefield 5, so you can see that in the whole layout of the points and so on. Here we have a little overview of the map, how all the points are distributed. Let's take a look at it all. What's interesting is that both factions start opposite of each other, of course, to the island from their own aircraft carriers. So it's not like in the past, where, for example, all points belong to one team, and then it's like a conquest assault kind of thing. But it actually starts out neutral, and then you have to capture the points like normal conquest. So that is already an innovation in comparison. Then we come to point A. There's a radar station, and we can already see at first glance it is just full of stuff. There's cover everywhere. That can hardly be compared to the Battlefield 5 version. So here they really brought out the big guns when it comes to assets and cover and so on. So that's pretty much the first thing I noticed when I ran across this map. Wow, there's a lot of stuff here. You have to keep in mind, of course, these are all first impressions. There's really a lot to see there. Then, the way to point B, we have this bridge. It all looks similar to Battlefield 5. You always feel reminded of it, but at the same time, it's completely different. It's a very weird feeling. Then we come to point B, the Barracks. The buildings here are arranged exactly like on the Battlefield 5 map, in this U shape, if you want to call it that. If you look from the right side, of course. The rooms are all accessible, as far as I saw. I mean, I wasn't in every single one of them, of course, but I took a look at a few. There are definitely a ton of possibilities to hold the point there. If you have people bunkered down there, that might take a while sometimes to find them. It's also multi-story houses, and you can access the roofs. Everything is expanded super heavily, so that is really crazy. We are moving right along. It's just an overview after all. Hangar is the point C, just like Battlefield 5. It's a hangar, only here it again looks completely different too. There are fighter jets inside that are somehow being repaired right now or something. If you played the Battlefield 5 map, you will immediately feel at home because you just know it, and the layout is more or less exactly like that, except that tons of stuff are standing around, cover and so on. So this map is almost a little bit of a labyrinth, don't you think? Then there is the runway that goes over the corner of the map, so to speak, with the sniper tower. You still know that one. And then we have the ammo depot. That is then point D in Conquest, if I remember correctly. There are these bunkers with ammo inside, like artillery shells and stuff. This is also built super similarly to Battlefield 5. So in principle, they really stuck very closely to the layout of this map, but everything is just completely built up and plastered with stuff and cover, and it's already really amazing how the whole thing looks. Of course, I also have to try blowing up one of these bunkers with a rocket launcher. That's a given, and I can tell you from the experience I made then, it works. They blow up. Nice. Moving on to the fuel station. Here too, everything is really beefed up. Lots of cover, lots of explosions, lots of pipes. So you can see for yourself, it is a bit overwhelming at first. You have to get into the groove of it a bit, I think. Then on the way to the next point, we have a lot of rugged landscape where you can hide as infantry and so on, because on the map there are actually very many vehicles and boats, especially in Escalation. In Escalation, it was 5 boats per team, I think. So things get really down to business there. So it just escalated away. There's a change here now, and that is normally the point in Battlefield 5 was here, in this area where the warehouses or these barracks or whatever you want to call them were. It has now moved further back to the tip, so to speak, of Wake Island. They also added a bit more to it. It's not exactly like in Battlefield 5 at the docks. That's what this point is called. As before, very built up. There's a lot going on there. And then we come to the extra on this map, because there is this Shipwreck in the middle that is also a single point in Conquest. It's actually a bit of a hub for the map, because from there you can get almost everywhere via zipline. In general, there are very, very many ziplines that lead from here to there, especially over this bay, so that you can get from the central Shipwreck point to the radar station to the hangar super fast. That actually goes very quickly. It is a bit different from how it used to be in Wake Island, because you always had to take a boat, drive across the bay, or you just walk or drive completely around the outside or over the island. Now you can zip back and forth a bit faster as infantry, of course. That means you can get from the radar station to the ammo depot or the fuel station much faster than before, for example. Sure, you are a bit exposed when you zip around here, but just let it be said, there are very many ziplines and you can move very quickly from point to point on this version of the map. Yeah, that is Wake Island, or an overview of it. Definitely write me your first impressions in the comments. What do you think about it? Do you maybe find it a bit too full, too maze-like? Or do you think it's cool that there is so much cover for infantry just to protect themselves from any vehicles? Definitely put that in the comments right now. So that the video doesn't end up being like 2 hours, let's move on to the next topic now. And those are the new jets. I actually have to read the names off. We have the FA-81F Super Spectre and the F-74A Seacat. Now, you would think, like I did, those are the same planes, but for both factions. So for each one, but they are basically the same. But that's not the case. Each faction can take both of them. One is like a multi-purpose jet where there is actually new weaponry too. I find that super exciting. That was somehow missing from the jets up until now, that you can actually choose a different weapon setup. You can do that with this jet now. And the Seacat is a bit more of an Interceptor, designed for that more. Both are two-seaters. That means you have a co-pilot sitting behind you, so to speak, who can also flare. Very important. Because now, of course, we have two people that can use locking weapons, always in these jets against each other. And the co-pilot can also look 360 degrees completely around themselves and lock on. So a whole lot of locking is going to be very lock heavy in this mode. That's why you have to communicate well regarding flares, so that both don't do it at the same time. The Seacat is basically like what we've had, except it can fold its wings. There's a mode there, then it is faster. Otherwise, it's more maneuverable. At least that's how it felt to me. Definitely makes sense, I think. But we can talk a lot more about the Super Spectre, because here there is actually different weaponry, finally, for a jet. It already starts with a main weapon. We can decide between the normal, so to speak, faster bullets, and then we also have a slower bullet variant that just does a bit more damage to vehicles. I already find this distinction very good. So one ammo type or one main gun is better for dogfighting, and the other one is better if you want to shoot at vehicles, and is not so good for faster targets because the bullets are slower. We also have secondary weaponry for the pilot. On one hand, we have the normal air-to-air missile, as we've known it for the whole time in Battlefield 6 now. But then we have a new option, namely the auto-guided, and that is an anti-radar missile that targets vehicles with anti-air missile systems, essentially. So you can use that to shoot at AAs, for example, and it then automatically locks on them. That's how I understood it, but we're moving on quickly because we can now also select two different types of equipment gadgets, or whatever you want to call it. On one hand, we have cluster bombs. They do exactly what cluster bombs do. We drop them, they split up into several smaller bombs and then explode over a larger area. Very cool. Imagine that in Breakthrough. Now comes the thing I've been wishing for this whole time for this game, or rather for the jets: unguided rockets. Yeah, heavy rockets. So they seem to be the same, or at least similar to the ones we have in the attack helicopter. I don't know, you know unguided rockets. You aim and fire and they fly where you aimed at. No locking, no nothing, just pure aiming. So you just have to aim for yourself. I think that is awesome. I really needed that as a pilot. There will be more videos about that too. I'm definitely going to make a separate video about this jet alone, testing everything. So subscribe if you don't want to miss that. This is just an overview for now, so you know these rockets exist. Now we come to the gunner position. Here there are also several things we can select. First, a completely normal AA missile as we know it. As I said, you can look around 360 degrees like that from the cockpit and as well from the third person view. Then secondly, we have a directional jammer. So you look at something and it can't lock onto you then. Ultimately, we already know this type from the Little Bird. It exists for the second seat there too. But there's also a second thing. So this jet is really super strong. We also have an equipment slot for the gunner seat. There we have one. Yeah, you could call it TV-guided missile. So a lot of people wished for that too, that the attack helicopter has something like that, for example. The gunner shoots this bomb. It's a winged bomb, so to speak, and you can just steer it into your target with a camera during the flight. So I think this jet is going to be really insane if you are left alone a bit and can actually use a few of those things. There's also a precision bomb. You have a camera then, there's a target area where you just aim. The bomb falls exactly there, so it's not guided or anything, but you determine where it falls, of course. A totally normal bomb in the end, right? And then it hits there. It can apparently punch through roofs too. But that's definitely the weaponry for the new multi-role jet. So it can just handle several things. Anti-air, anti-vehicle, anti-infantry, everything. I'm really curious about that and I'm really hyped to test it out a bit better. During this session, while flying, I have to say there was a lot of locking going on logically. Everyone is naturally trying that out first now. How that will actually be in the end in a real match over a longer period of time remains to be seen. But ultimately there are even more lock-on weapons now. Whether that's good or bad, you can form your own opinion on that. Definitely write it down in the comments. There are two time-limited modes. First, there will be a gauntlet mode. It's called Fighter Sweep. And in the end, it's Air Superiority. So jets only. You can score points by shooting down other people. You can score points by shooting depots that are on the ground. That is kind of the catch of the whole thing. You basically have to destroy the enemy's ammo supply to interrupt the supply chain. That hasn't existed in Battlefield 6 until now. You can definitely practice dogfighting there. There's really a lot going on. And there's a lot of locking going on in this mode. But now we come to the more important mode, and that is Carrier Strike. We know that from the past. A mode like this has existed several times before in various versions. In the end, it's Conquest. At first, you capture points. At these points are missile batteries. They shoot at the carriers. The more points you have, the more missiles fly at the enemy aircraft carrier. Logically, it gets weaker and weaker. After 50%, there is a breach and you can advance to the interior. If you actually manage to get to the aircraft carrier, because it's defended, of course. Then you can plant a bomb, like in Rush, and blow up 2 points. There's a bomb that can be planted on the middle deck, then something blows up there. That then clears the way to the reactor. You can then plant a bomb there too, defend it or simply defuse it if it happens on your own carrier. And when that blows up, the carrier explodes and you've won. Or lost accordingly, depending on which side you're currently on. Yeah, that is quite exciting because that of course has multiple layers. First, you can play Conquest, so to speak, and hold and capture the points so that logically more missiles fly at the enemy air carrier than at yours. And then there's a bit of this CQC turning point when it comes to defending and attacking the carrier itself. Of course, you can also do things like wait on the aircraft carrier deck until the planes take off and then shoot them down with a RPG. But you don't do that because that's unfair and don't do stuff like that. But this mode could be really exciting. It is maybe even a bit of a shame that it's time limited. Maybe they'll reconsider that and leave it in because it's actually a cool mixture of everything somehow. So there's definitely a whole lot of chaos and a whole lot going on. I really liked it. I'm curious how you guys like it. Last but not least, we're getting another new sniper rifle. It is called Interceptor. It is supposed to be the most long-range weapon that exists until now. It definitely has a really large caliber. The muzzle velocity isn't that crazy somehow. 915 if you have everything attached to it, like the extended barrel and so on and so forth. I had the feeling that it has a bit less bullet drop due to the fact that it's supposed to be such a long-range sniper. Whether it damages vehicles somehow or something, because there was a rumor once about it somehow being an anti-material rifle because of the large caliber. I couldn't verify that, like, until now. Only that you can snipe very well with it. It is just a sniper. The sweet spot range is from 120 to 150 meter. So there you can see it is designed for long range distances for the larger maps. It actually has no option to stay in scope. This bolt thing that you can equip doesn't exist on this one. So you always have to come out of the scope to reload. That's why I'm not sure yet if that is a better sniper than the others. I think I will have to play it a bit longer. That is definitely the packed Top Gun part of Season 4. What do you think of it? Are you hyped to play that tomorrow? Definitely write it down below in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Here's a sub button, and here's another video that you can check out. Click on both. It's definitely worth it. Then you won't miss another video and have even more entertainment right now. Awesome. And we'll see us in the next video. Bye.